Alabama's Jalen Milroe was once viewed as a top QB prospect for the 2025 NFL draft class. Well, after his latest performance in their loss to Michigan in the bowl game, things look a little murky. Declare or stay. We'll talk about that and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst over with Bleacher Report, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, on today's show, buy or sell, declare or stay. Jalen Milroe, what should his decision be? Should he stay in school and mature in the pocket or declare for the 2025 NFL Draft? The Carson Beck, quarterback from Georgia, absolutely declared for the draft. Is that the right decision? Buy or sell? And Quinshon Judkins, the talented running back for Ohio State, should he stay and be RB1 next year? We'll talk about that in just a second. But before that, guys, it's Crossover Thursday here on the Locked On Podcast Network, and it is presented by Prize Picks. Download the app and use the code Locked On NFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Jalen Milroe, declare or stay. 6'2", 225-pound, uber athletic quarterback. My comp for him was Jalen Hurts with a rocket to his back. Yes, he's that type of athlete. He should stay in college. He should absolutely stay in college. And it's not because Jalen Milroe is a bad player. He's just not refined or mature as a pocket passer just yet. We've seen it in the NFL, right? And don't get it wrong. You guys have heard me say on this pod during this past draft cycle, me and Keith did an episode. You can go back, check the archives, right? We talked about it. Ceiling versus floor. Keith is a guy who he takes the safer route. Well, there's an old phrase that scared money don't make no money, baby. I like the ceiling. I want guys that can shatter the floor while he's going through the ceiling and through the roof. Shatter everything and just uplift what we have here, right? The Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, those guys, right? I like the high ceiling guys, okay? So while that may be the case, even with Jalen Milroe being a high ceiling guy, he is nowhere near a good enough floor, in my opinion, to be drafted right now if you expect him to start within the first year. Like, yes, if you draft him second round, I have him as a mid-second round pick. If you draft him right now as a mid-second round pick, you have an established veteran. Cool, great. I'm fine. The Cleveland Browns have Jameis Winston and Deshaun Watson. He doesn't have to worry in terms of Jalen Milroe of starting that season as a rookie, right? You start one of those guys, you let them play, and you go on about your business. And in the background, you're developing Jalen Milroe. But in my opinion, going back to school and he's learning like his third or fourth offense in the last 3 years. Yeah, no, I would absolutely stay with Kalen DeBoer, the head coach there at Alabama, unless something changes. I would stay. I would master that offense. I would get the game. If I'm in his camp, I want Jalen Milroe to allow the game to slow down for him so that he could then play at full speed mentally. Not just mentally as a runner. We know he could play full speed there, but as a pocket passer where he's staring down reads because he doesn't trust what he sees, and now you're throwing late. For example, let's look at the numbers here real quick on what he was able to do this season. 63.3% completion percentage, 2,836 yards passing, 16 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions on the season as well. Now you look at what he does. He's a dual threat. He epitomizes dual threat ability. 150 carries, 879 yards rushing, 20 rushing touchdowns, 11 fumbles. And against Michigan, he had 11 carries for 60 yards, 2 fumbles in that game. And then this was a porous performance in the pocket. 16 of 33, 48.5% completion percentage, 184 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown, and an interception. I believe he had 3 turnovers within the first 4 drives or so. Yeah, I say you sell the idea of going to the 2025 NFL draft. Anthony Richardson is not so much struggling. It's taking him time, mainly because he got hurt last year, right? He got hurt. That was something that we did not see coming. He played well up until he got hurt. He was starting to figure it out. But this year is when he crossed that 16, 17 game threshold of games played in the NFL. He didn't have as much experience. But I'll say this, Anthony Richardson throwing from the pocket at Florida with relatively really no weapons outside of Ricky Pearsall, I felt like he was a better passer than Jalen Milroe. He was a more confident passer than Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe relies super heavy on his legs. And yes, Anthony Richardson is a mobile dual threat uber athlete, but he played more confident in the pocket, in my opinion. The peak of what we saw as a pocket passer and a passer period from Jalen Milroe was the Georgia game, but it's the floor fell out at that point. So yes, although I'm a ceiling guy, I am selling it. Declare or stay. Jalen Milroe, stay. Okay, stay in school. Stay in school, man. I think it makes too much sense to stay and just mature in the pocket. I feel like his eyes are failing him. He's failing his eyes one way or the other. Right? The brain is not, his eyes are seeing something, but his mind is locking his body up. I'm watching him hold the ball and guys are open. And I'm like, Jalen, throw the ball. Like it's there. It's there. And again, for him, he's similar to Anthony Richardson, a vertical passer. So he has the big arm to push the ball down the field, right? He's got a cannon. He's got a really good arm, guys. But the fact of the matter and the point is, when teams started taking that way and shutting off access to the deep ball, now they're telling you, hey, take the check down, throw in the middle of the field, hit those throws inside 5 to 15 yards. We're not giving you anything over 20. And when they put that cap, when they put the roof on top of the passing offense, his passing efficiency went downhill immediately, right? And he was a big catalyst to some of the losses they had this year. Oklahoma, right? Like against Oklahoma, he was 11 of 27 for almost 41% completion percentage, 164 yards passing. He threw 3 interceptions against an Oklahoma team who lost their entire receiving core during the season due to injury, right? Against Vanderbilt, he was good, but he had key mistakes in that game, taking sacks, the interception. I believe he had a fumble in that game as well. Like he only has, I believe, 2 games where he's thrown for over 300 yards. Only 2. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 6 games, looks like, on record of throwing less than 200 yards. Absolutely not. I love the talent. I love the ceiling that is Jalen Milroe. Again, my comp for him was Jalen Hurts with a rocket strapped to his back, because this is a different type of athlete than what Jalen Hurts could ever have been. This dude is explosive, dynamic, sudden, twitchy, all the words we use in scouting to describe athleticism. That is Jalen Milroe. But he is inefficient, ineffective, and immature as a pocket quarterback. I think he can still develop into a mature pocket quarterback, guys. I'm not what's his phrase? Lank. Let a naysayer know. I'm not a naysayer. I believe in this kid, but I truly believe he needs to go back to school. So if you say, DP, should he stay? Should he go? Should he declare? Should he stay, buy or sell? I'm selling. Jalen Milroe, go back to school, improve your game, learn and master that offense. Let the game slow down for you, because as we're seeing with multiple quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, different quarterbacks we've seen come into the league with experience. And that experience paid dividends for how they saw the game, how quickly they processed information, how slow the game was for them. It matters. It's a part of evaluation with scouting, and it's a part of evolving as a draft analyst and as a scout myself. I'm putting more onus on experience with quarterbacks. So yes, I'm selling. Jalen Milroe, stay in school, get your experience, get better. But coming up next, guys, on the next topic, I'm talking about Carson Beck. Buy or sell him declaring for the 2025 NFL Draft. That and more coming up next. It's playoff time, and if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where Prize Picks comes in. If you love football and want a chance to win real money while watching the games, Prize Picks is the place for you. It's the best way to turn your sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projection. With Prize Picks, you simply pick more or less on player stats, like total passing yards or rushing touchdowns. And for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money, you can make your picks in less than 60 seconds. And whether you're looking for a flex play to boost your payout or want to cash out quickly, Prize Picks has got you covered. And with over 10 million members and billions in winnings, it's clear that people are loving this platform. Here's a special offer for Locked On NFL Draft listeners. Download the app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Prize Picks. Again, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Prize Picks. Run your game. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Guys, what do you want your 2025 story to be? Every January brings a new chapter, 365 blank pages waiting for you to fill. If there's a part of your life you want to rewrite or a plot twist you've been craving, why wait? Life isn't about fleeting resolutions. It's about taking control and becoming the author of your own story. Think of therapy as your personal editor, helping you craft the life you deserve. It's not just the crisis situations. Therapy can help you develop healthier coping strategies, improve your relationships, and empower you to be the best version of yourself. Whether you're facing a challenge or just looking for personal growth, therapy is a powerful tool to help guide your journey. Whether it's learning how to set boundaries or tackling stress in new ways, therapy can help you develop skills for a better tomorrow. Even if you never tried therapy, the benefits are clear. Finding someone to talk to and gaining fresh perspectives can make all the difference in how you navigate life's ups and downs. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Buy or sell Carson Beck heading to the 2025 NFL Draft. Guys, I am buying it. Carson Beck decided to forego his last year of eligibility, and he's coming off of right now. I know some people, I think it was Todd McShay said it. It was foolish. Supposedly some of the sources told him about this young man deciding to go to the draft coming off of a ineffective or inconsistent season for most of the 2024 college football season, and now also having the torn UCL. I think he's getting the Tommy John surgery. So yeah, all that can muddy the waters. It can make it murky. It can make it difficult for eval. But for me, when you look at what he was able to do the last 3 games prior to the injury and to the SEC championship game against Tennessee, he was 25 of 40, 331 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns. Against UMass, it's UMass, I know. 20 of 31, 297, 4 passing touchdowns. Against Georgia Tech, in a shootout, because his defense was getting shredded like some cheese, grated, by the way, by Georgia Tech's offense. He was 28 of 43, 294 through the air, 5 passing touchdowns. My comp for him stands still. I'm not budging on it. He is Jared Goff, with a little bit more mobility. We saw Jared Goff kind of pick him up and put him down in one of the recent games where he scrambled for like a first down or whatever, but he's typically dead in the waters if you get pressure on him, right? While Carson Beck has shown the ability to get out of the pocket and get you 5 to 7, even 10 yards and everything, maybe 12 to 15 if it's deep drop zone or it's a blitz and you get out of your rush lanes, things like that. He's a functional enough athlete. Why I say I'm buying is simply because what do you gain going back to Georgia? Georgia's passing offense and Mike Bobo, like for me, yes, Kobe Young, I think they're like we talked about it a couple of days ago. You had some young receivers who were talented, good athletes, big body guys on the outside who were supposed to be your top 2 guys, have some trouble off the field. And because of that, they were let go, and rightfully so. But the point for me is, okay, if I know that I don't have the top end talent, like Brock Bowers is gone, Lat McConkey is gone, 2 guys in competition to be offensive rookie of the year in the NFL, they won't get it. It's going to a quarterback, probably Jaden Daniels, and rightfully so, or Bo Nix, either way. But nonetheless, I digress. you lose those two guys, right? And they're big time playmakers at the NFL level right now for their respective offenses. Losing that hurts. But Mike Bobo, his OC, didn't adapt to what else he had. Okay, you don't have the proven receivers now? Cool. I have 3 tight ends, Lawson Lucky, Benjamin Urasek, and Oscar Delp. I'm running my offense through them. Like, Oscar Delp is 6'5", 245. He looks like a grown man. Why are we not funneling him the football the way we did with Brock Bowers? Am I saying he's Brock? No, but physically, from a height, weight, and speed standpoint, he's bigger, he's taller, he's stronger, and he's a good enough athlete. He may not be the same exact athlete as Brock because he's got more muscle mass to his frame, but it doesn't matter. The point is, he's a height, weight, and speed prospect at the biggest mismatch position in sports. In football, the biggest mismatch on the field in football, no matter if it's high school, college, or the NFL, or the UFL, it doesn't matter. It's tight end. When you have a high-level tight end, it changes the game on how the defense can defend you. And the fact that the OC did not get the ball to his tight ends, and you have 3, is out. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling. I felt like that Tennessee game is when they finally started getting Oscar Delp the ball, and that's when Carson Beck really took off against good competition. Now, he did have 400-plus yard games against Alabama when he came back and against Mississippi State. Also, those were also multi-interception games as well. But again, for me, I just look at it and say, okay, if I can get Carson Beck in a good enough offense, right? And let's talk about it. The O-line at Georgia has not played well. They have not played well. And Georgia, plays today. And I want to say this because I forgot to mention it earlier. Happy New Year's to everybody. Sorry. I was excited to get into this show. But also, prayers, thoughts, rest in peace, all of the good vibes and love sent to New Orleans after the attack and everything that was there. And that's why the game has been supposedly moved back to today. We'll see if it stays that way. But nonetheless, guys, like Carson Beck, the torn UCL, going back to Georgia, to me, it just, what is the benefit? What is the benefit of going back? I think if he's not going to be drafted round 1, let's say he get drafted top of the second, right? Top mid of the second. Let's be honest. Jalen Hurts, if Jalen Hurts had went to the Miami Dolphins like that year when Tua went, if Jalen Hurts had went that year in Tua's spot, his career wouldn't have started off so hot, man, right? Brian Flores was the head coach. They had very little weapons. They had a lot of different problems, man. Like when you get drafted top 10, top 5, you're going to bad situations. Jalen Hurts got drafted the top mid of the second round. He was a second round pick, and he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. And him going to the Philadelphia Eagles proved what? Proved beneficial because they allow Carson Wentz to play. He got to see what you don't do and what you can do in the NFL that can get you benched. And he was able to go out there and be a difference maker, and he's gotten paid, led them to a Super Bowl. The rest is history, right? So for Carson Beck, if you're top of the second, mid-second round, who cares? I know in the early wallet hit to a lot of people is not worth it, but to me, who cares? If you go to a good situation, and I have one that I think is perfect, the Los Angeles Rams, getting Carson Beck, and I know Stetson Bennett, his former teammate, an elder, because Stetson's like 30. He played college football for 17 years. I get it. He's there. He's not the face of the franchise after Matthew Stafford, right? Physically, none of that. Beck is superior to him. Only thing he has is more scrambling and off-script playmaking ability, but that's really it. For me, I'm looking at this situation, and I said, listen, if I'm Sean McVay, and I got Puka Nacua, I have Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, I have Cooper Kupp for right now, Tutu Atwell. I have enough pieces, right? And then I think they're a prime candidate to draft a tight end. A prime candidate to draft a tight end. So, yes. So when I think about it, I say, go ahead and put Carson Beck in Los Angeles. He plays a year, maybe a year or two behind Matthew Stafford, and then he gets the reins to the team. And he knows the offense. He knows what Sean McVay likes and wants, and he's the type of quarterback. Again, Carson Beck, Jared Goff connection. But this is a difference. I don't think Carson Beck mentally will have to have the Jared Goff treatment, where if you remember, in Jared Goff's early parts of his career, not Carson Beck, for Jared Goff, Sean McVay was in his ear up until like the 10-second mark on the game clock, calling out audibles and checks and everything else. Yeah, I don't think you have to do that for Carson Beck. I don't think so. And if you don't, great. So when I look at the situation, I keep it honest. I think Carson Beck he goes to the draft. I think it's a great idea for him. You land in a much better position, a team that is more ready for quarterback roster-wise than going to a team that still has some very structural issues, right? I mean, just be honest about it. Like, whether it's the Giants and the O-line situation and the looming situation with the head coach, like, it's just certain things you don't want to have to deal with as a rookie quarterback. And we're seeing it. Look at Chicago. When Justin Fields was drafted, they knew they weren't keeping Matt Nagy, but they kept him all the way through like halfway point of his rookie year. Terrible idea. This year, Caleb Williams, you know that Matt Eberflus was not the answer, but you kept him for most of his rookie year. You kept the lame duck offensive coordinator for most of the year, and it proved to not be beneficial for your young quarterback. So no, having those type of things going on around a young quarterback just isn't helpful, guys. So for me, Carson Beck declares for the NFL draft, for the 2025 NFL draft, buy or sell. I am absolutely buying it. Go land in a good spot, and we'll see you in 2 years, Carson. We'll see you in 2 years. But coming up next, guys, closing out the show, Quinshon Judkins, running back for Ohio State. Should he declare or stay in school? I think with Trevion Henderson leaving, it might be open room to stay. We'll talk about that and more coming up next. The NFL playoffs are almost here, and it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Guys, FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. Why, you ask? Simple. It's thrilling. I love this stuff. Guys, to get in on the action right now, just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com to join today for your chance at $250 back in bonus bets. That's $250 back in bonus bets that you can get in on by going to FanDuel.com today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, Quinshon Judkins, declare or stay for the 2025 NFL Draft class. I say stay. The 6 foot, 220-pound running back was my RB1 coming off of the summer scouting series. He was my RB1. His tape at Ole Miss for 2 years, his freshman and sophomore year, outstanding stuff. He looked like a first round top 15 pick. Okay, I know we love what Ashton Jeanty has shown us this year, but please go back and watch freshman Quinshon Judkins. That young man was an absolute monster. Over 1,500 yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, right? Last year, production and everything dipped. The offensive line and stuff wasn't the same for Ole Miss, and he dropped down from 1,500 to 1,100 yards, 1,159 yards per attempt went down and stuff like that, but still had 15 rushing touchdowns. Like, one thing about it, he's a power runner. He is a great short yardage and red zone back. But again, this year, he knew what he was getting into, right? You were going from getting the ball 345 to 335 times, respectively, in 2022 and 2023, to only over 200 carries this year because you're splitting time with Trevion Henderson. The reason why I say stay, this RB class is loaded, and I'm going to be honest, some things might already be solidified. I'm just going to be Cam Scatterbo doing what he was able to do. Listen, moved himself up some draft boards. You hear me? All right. Some people going to still try and peg him as the gritty white boy who's a fullback. I'm playing him at running back. Sorry, guys. I'm not subscribing to the foolishness. But nonetheless, You know what Ashton Jeanty is. Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Brashard Smith. There's multiple running backs in this class, guys. Travion Henderson, his own teammate, is in this class, right? Like who else right now? Let me look at some of my rankings here over at BR. Nicholas Singleton, potentially. We don't know yet. Devin Neal, RJ Harvey, okay, Phil Maffa, Ollie Gordon, Khalil Mullings, Donovan Edwards, Woody Marks, Jarquez Hunter. Okay, like there's Damian Martinez, Taj Brooks. There's a lot of running backs. Somebody's going undrafted, I'm going to be honest with you. And some NFL teams going to start them. And they're going to have a 1,100-yard rusher. I'm betting money on it. I'm just going to bet it. I don't know who's going to be yet. We'll see after the draft. But nonetheless, this is one of the best running back classes we've seen. If I'm in Quinshon Judkins' ear, I'm telling him right now, brother, go back to school. Go back to school. Talk to Chip Kelly. Talk to Ryan Day, right? And say, listen, I want to be the guy. I don't want to split carries. If I'm splitting, I want it to be 90-10. I'm not doing 50-50, right? I'm not doing 60-40, okay, like off of, was it Soul Men with Bernie Mac and Samuel L. Jackson? 60-40. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. If I'm Quinshon, I'm going back to school, and I'm telling them, for one, you're going to get more. I think the NIL will be able to match whatever you're going to get in the draft because you're going to be a day 2 pick. Okay? At best. You're going to be a day 2 pick, probably 3rd round right now because of the production and because things didn't look the greatest. And you come back to a healthier, more established offensive line at Ohio State, but you get more NIL, so that secures you for a year. And then you come back and you're the guy. You're the guy toting the rock. You're the guy that handles all of the business, right? You handle all the carries. Like I said, that's fine. You can, at best, I'll do is 85-15. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the best I'll do. I'm not doing anything more than that. I'm not doing 80-20. I'm not doing 70-30. I'm not doing anything less than that when I'm splitting the carries. I want 300 carries again. I want Quinshon Judkins. If I'm Quinshon Judkins, I want Ashton Jeanty's workload. Okay? I want Ashton Jeanty's workload. That's what I want. If I'm Quinshon Judkins, that's what I'm coming back for. Because I'm going to come back and I'm going to dominate the Big Ten, and I'm going to prove to everybody why I was RB1 coming off of the 2024 summer scouting. Okay, that's what I'm doing, if anything. So for me, I don't think he should declare. This has not been a great season. He has not looked as explosive. He's not looked to have the elusiveness and wiggle that we saw at Ole Miss. Right? He still caught the ball out of the backfield well. My comp for him stays the same. Kareem Hunt was like a day 3 pick, day 2, day 3 pick, like a 4th rounder. Excuse me, like a 4th round pick. Yeah. He was okay. And I believe he had over like 200, 300 yards total offense against Bill Belichick in his first night out. Like T Grizzly, first day out. Like that's what it was, guys. So if I'm Quinshon Judkins, I'd rather get that workload. I'd rather go out here next year and prove I'm the best back in the country or one of the best. And even if I'm not a top 20 pick, but I'm a back end of the first, fine. Top of the second, that's better because I don't see that happening right now. And I want him to get back to being the Ole Miss version of himself because this is not the best version of Quinshon Judkins. This is not. To me, this is a poor man's version of Quinshon, the discounted version of Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins is better than this. We've seen it for 2 years. He's better than this. So go back and prove it. Simple as that to me. Go back and prove it. But guys, that's our show. Quinshon Judkins, declare or stay? Stay, Quinshon. Carson Beck, buy or sell? It was the right decision to declare for the 2025 NFL Draft. Buy. Declare, stay, buy or sell for Jalen Milroe to enter the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm selling, stay, get better, mature in the pocket, and be a full-fledged weapon when you come to the NFL Draft and enter that draft, whatever draft it is, because I think he has 2 years of eligibility left, if I remember correctly. So that's the decision for me. Stay in school, and then when you come out for the NFL Draft, you are a more proven and polished product. But guys, that's our show. Go subscribe and follow for free wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's show, we will break down all of the action from the playoff games. All right. talk about game balls, all of it. Especially we wanted to push it back after the Georgia game versus Notre Dame was pushed back due to the heinous acts. Again, rest in peace, prayers, love, thoughts, everything, all the good vibes and whatnot manifesting over to New Orleans, to all the victims and their families. God, again, Happy New Year. Thank y'all so much for all the support. We've been here going on our second full year, feels like, right? 2022, 2023. Man, it's been great. So 2023, we took over this pod. So, man, it feels good going into the second full year and full draft cycle. So thank y'all so much for tapping in with us. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.